Good evening. Happy Friday.
Hello.
Thanks
Happy
for
Friday.
joining us. Nice of you to see you. Just seen a few comments in the chat, and one of them that stands out in particular is good evening, man. Where is Dong Almighty? I think that might have to be your new nickname moving forward. Dong,
Oh.
Dong Almighty. Thanks, Mel. But yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say he's ready. Have you decided which side you're going with, Dong? The dark or the
How about right in the middle?
Don't think
the best how I can use Bluetooth. Blue or red?
Oh, marvellous. We love it. Happy Friday, gentlemen. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sparing, or should I say, in some cases, wasting a couple of hours of Friday evening on the show. Steph, looking comfortable there, as always. Jamie?
Yeah.
Ready? Good week. Don, ready for this one? You've put an almighty slide together. Or Jedi Master. But before we do go on to testing and say hello to those of you that joined us, and thank you ever so much to the 50 odd of you so far that have tuned in on this Friday evening. There's a few tales to tell this evening of some reefing. I don't really want to call them faux pas or experience catastrophes. Okay, Don, do you want to pick somebody? Myself, Steph, or Jamie to go first? Who do you want to pick?
Why not start with you, Tom?
Okay. Well, I'll just get this out of the way. So, for some of you that may have watched the Reefers Network before, you know I've had a few issues with Red Dragon pumps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't.
Okay. Oh. So, just to give you the short version, and I promise you it is the short version. When I put my display tank together downstairs, my SPS DT downstairs, I bought one Red Dragon pump brand new, which was rather expensive. I bought another one second hand, which was just around a year old, should I say, and they ran fine for probably about 6 to 12 months, no problems. And then within the space of 3 months, as I'm sure probably some of you can remember, both of them failed within 3 months. Okay, One was under warranty, got a replacement. The other one wasn't, had to buy another pump. Turns out that both pumps that I had replaced, unfortunately, the original model that I previously ordered was no longer in manufacturing or no longer in production. So I had to have a different model, which ironically turned out to be a third of the size of the unit that I actually originally bought. Not to say the performance wasn't the same, but in terms of size, just saying, when you look at something in terms of size, you expect a certain level of performance. No innuendos. It's Friday. Trying to keep it clean. But anyway, so I got the replacement pumps. They were nowhere near what I expected in terms of size, but they've done the job. Not an issue. They've been running for 6 months. And then on Saturday, when I did a water change, one of them just randomly decided to stop. The water level in the display tank dropped about 6 inches. Looked at the error code and it said, need to clean the pump. And I thought, well, okay. I have cleaned them once since I put them in. I'll clean them again within 6 months. Cleaned it, fired it back up again. Ran fine. Fortunately, today I've been working from home and I went into the garage to do something, came back into the garage, into the house, and it had dropped again by another 6 inches. So it's failed again within the space of a week. It's fair to say that one of the Red Dragons is going to be classed as Rob Logic Swimmer classes Dead Dragon, and I'm going to have the conversation again with Royal Exclusive. So I think there's a little bit of a pattern here. So that was story number one. I have another one, but I only have another one. So if you want to roll the dice again, Dong, and choose another of the panel members to share with you another.
Let's go, Jamie.
Okay. So mine is a fully self-inflicted disaster. As you can see, the eagle-eyed amongst you, I've now got some corals in the tank behind me, all of which came out of my 6-foot tank over there. So it looks like nothing in here, but that tank looked packed. Anyway, so I had a good friend of mine, Dan Krusty's Reef, come over to help me because I need him because he's got long arms and can reach the bloody rocks and I can't reach them. Anyway, so we're getting all the corals out of the main 6-foot tank, and I've got towels everywhere. I've got all the tools. I've got bone cutters. I've got clippers and saws, and you had to saw through a lot of them because they were just, the bases on some of them were like proper chunky. Literally was a hacksaw job. Anyway, it was all going perfectly. I got all my majority of my prized corals out in one piece. You probably see where this is going. And I have one beautiful tabling, blue and green acro leader, probably about the size of my hand. Massive big table of it. Pride of place. I was like, that's got to go right on this centre island. It looks amazing. That was the one. What one did I drop and smash into a million pieces? That one, my favourite bloody coral. So there's now 2 pieces in here that were fairly big and 7 frags in the frag tank and a load of particles in the bucket that went in the bin. So we're back to square one with my favourite coral. And all the other cheap, shitty filler corals survived the move.
As always.
Always the way. Yeah.
So how about Steph?
Oh, come on,
You got a
Steph.
story?
Yeah, there's a big gap in the middle of the tank now because I had a trackie, a really, really nice trackie, a big red fat trackie, beautiful trackie. And I did a bit of maintenance, and then the next morning it was still closed up, and I thought, I've done some here. Anyway, upon investigation and setting a few cameras up, the yellow tang had gone rogue, and I've never known a yellow tang to go rogue, so I might sound like a bit of an idiot, but it was ripping the flesh of one of the cameras I played it back, ripping the trachea apart. And this is a big old trachea. I'll try to get a picture up at some point. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma. So the trachea has gone back into the lagoon, it's healing, it's coming back, and it's looking all right. But the yellow tang has appeared to have gone rogue, and I'm just watching him now because he's also floating around one of the again, it's another coral, an Acanthophyllia that I've had for years. It's nice and big now, and he's going for the meaty corals. Has anyone ever had that with the yellow tang?
Powder blues I've had. Powder blue.
Powder blues, yeah, I know.
Mm.
And even regals, but not a yellow. Never a yellow. Really going at the flesh. Like, I thought he was just picking off the algae as it was closed up, but he wasn't. He was pulling the flesh. So it is recovering over there in the lagoon, but
yeah. Well, that's the main thing. Hopefully you intervened at the right point. Anyway, at the right moment.
I hope so. But Tom,
Yeah, I mean, if it helps, Steph, I'll give you 20 quid for it or something if you need to get rid of it. You know.
This is the yellow. This is the yellow.
So what?
Is it the yellow tang or the coral?
the yellow tank. Oh, the
I'm
coral.
at that point now where,
You take your pick.
and that's the thing to the story. They're probably 2 of the most expensive things in the tank. Is the yellow tank,
so
an
slow,
old 4-year-old wild caught Hawaiian, or
Yeah.
a coral we can't get anymore. So anyway, Tom.
So this isn't a faux pas, but my other story of this week was, so when I got a tank, I said tank breakdown. Yeah, it was a tank breakdown, of course it was. Tank breakdown about a year or so ago, and it sort of propelled me to set up the garage again that I've got now. So it was basically somebody that had a coral table in his garage, and he wanted to get rid of it. And me and a friend went halves, and we got certain corals out of it, live rock, blah blah blah. That coral table is now in my garage, and one of the things that we couldn't decide who was keeping and who didn't want was these 3. And Murph's just put one in his tank recently. They're a bit of bad news, I think, from experience. Is these big, dirty green bristle stars. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And when I said big, I mean like alien big. I'm saying like, like really, like, yeah. Anyway, so there were 3 that was, and so I took them and I put them in my live rock vat in the garage, which you've seen, Steph, at the back of the garage, full of live rock. I thought they'll keep everything clean and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so that live rock vat is, again, short version, do apologise, people. That is my sump at the minute for my coral tables, and that is literally sort of plumbed into to a working sump, as in working corals in the bottom instead of live rock, return pump back into a coral table, back into the vat, if you can kind of visualise that. So literally a few days ago, I thought to myself, well, I went in one morning after I took class to work, and I looked at the water level of the sump, and it had lifted by about an inch. I thought, well, why is the sump lifted by about an inch? It didn't dawn on me. Anyway, so I took a bit of water out and thought, well, I don't know what's happened here. I think this was on a Friday. I noticed it. On Saturday, I started doing some tank maintenance, and on the first section of the sump, where the main sort of return pipe out of the vat comes into the sump, I was cleaning the glass because that's where I keep the sort of the monties that I'm sort of growing out. And as I was cleaning the glass, the biggest like tentacle just came out to my arm. So basically what has happened is one of these bristle stars, and I'm not exaggerating, that's like massive, has found its way out of the vat. And all I can imagine is that it's blocked the return going into the sump. So it's created my ATO to drop. So my ATO's dumped RO in to compensate for the water level. So when it's finally dropped out the pipe, the overall water running height of the sump has increased by an inch.
Oh my
There you
gosh! Wow.
Anyway, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
But there's a point to all this, isn't there? This is why it's a hobby.
Yeah, I'm sure most people wish they were watching I'm a Celebrity to get me out of here right now, rather than this. But anyway, moving on.
Oh, yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I'm glad you tuned in for that last 11 minutes. Don, anything you want to share with us that's happened to you this week?
Not much. It has been extremely busy. So
You stole your daughter's lightsaber, and she hasn't had it back yet.
Yeah, I keep hearing him in my
I've been
head.
playing with this thing all week long.
All week, I've just been hearing him. Use the force.
And the feedback is so loud. It's so loud.
That was the rabbit you was holding.
Before we go into your presentation you put together for us, Don, around testing. Quick question for the three of you, gents. Yes or no? We're on the 21st of November. And this includes you in the audience at home watching. Please do get involved. Christmas decorations. Should they be up now or not? Yes or no? Starting with Jamie.
No, I'm holding out. The kids want them up, but I'm like, no, they're getting schooled on this one.
Okay. Steph?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should.
Okay.
They should be, but I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. Yeah, I had time. I've got to go in more.
Get involved in the comments. Don, are you a yes or you're a no? Christmas decorations right now. 21st
For Christmas?
of November.
No, because that our tradition is the Christmas tree only goes up after the turkey got eaten.
What?
Okay.
Christmas Day.
Huh?
Okay. So when do you eat your turkey?
What?
Well, it's Thanksgiving time. Thanksgiving coming next week.
Of course.
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Yes, afterwards. Come on, get with it. Right. Anyway, moving on. Let us know in the comments what you think. Good evening, Jim McGrath, 8773. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for tuning in. Tony Close, UK Reef. Happy Friday to you as well. Wouldn't be a Friday without our resident John Boy. Hope you're good. Nice to see you, man. Techers is with us as well. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening, Anthony. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Parrott, happy birthday for the other day, mate. Hope you had a good day.
He's a pensioner now, isn't he?
He is. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're good. You don't get a discount on salt, though, unfortunately, mate. You have to pay the going rate. Good evening, Mo. Hope you're good. Who else we got in here? Tez is in the house. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Mr. Timothy as well. Hope you're good. Need to speak to you about dosing. Mr. Senna, another birthday that was happening this week. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope you got yourself a lovely set of stickle bricks and whatever Lego you wanted. Pedro Bar is here as well. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Liam as well. Good evening. Yes, congratulations on the new unit, Liam. Looks amazing. All the best for the new business venture. Good luck with that one. Days Reef as well is in the house. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Critical Reef, hello, hello. The Mr. and Mrs. Father Christmas of the reefing community, the one and only Tommy and Sharon. Love you both. Hope you're good. Thanks for your support as always. Looking forward to seeing when you come down in a couple of weeks. Harry West is in the house. Good evening. Lisa Sa. Wouldn't be one without you, my darling. Thank you very much. Daniel Guna. There you go, Jamie.
Oh, what happened this Sunday? Don't worry. He'll be crying on Sunday.
Okay, fair enough. We'll see. Mr. Hebs, hope you're good. Thanks for tuning in. Mr. Reefy Reese, as always, in the comments. Thanks for tuning in. Gaz, hope you're good. Nice to see you. Banana Rama, here he is. Oh, there we go. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're good. All right, Lee. Nice to see you. There we go. Gaz is here. Not been on for a while. He's probably half cut by now. Spiller's Reef, good evening. Who else we got in here? Julian Paul, good evening. Intrinsic Reef, hello, hello, hello. Try not to miss anybody if I have. Matthew's here as well. Good evening. Hope you're good.
Hello, Matt.
Yarek's here watching from Poland. Hope
Hey,
you're
Yarek.
good, mate. Hope you're having a
Dzień dobry.
Jabrowska or two. Dzień
Dzień
dobry.
dobry.
Yeah. Spocko. Ailey Bart is with us in the house. Good evening, good evening. Marine Reefer 1664. Hope you're good, man. Nice to see you at Coral Freaks. Nice to see you. Hope you've sorted your return pump out. Sounds like you had a bit of a mare. Spiller's Reef. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Here we are. Albert. Hi, gents. Now, Albert sent us an email on Jamie, Steph, to the Reefers Network Gmail, which I'll talk to you about after the show, with a suggestion of a topic moving forward, which I think was a very good one. But he has just come out of hospital and he's resting at home. So our thoughts and our prayers with you there, man. Hope you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have we got in here? Let's have a look. I think I've missed a few. Digital Corals. Here we go. Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Hi, Tony.
Thanks for tuning in, Tony. And I think, here he is, the man
Corey.
from last week, Corey. Thank you very much.
I wonder if Corey thinks we should do decorations.
Well, it was actually Corey that actually spurred me on to ask that question in the first place. A few people here, absolutely not yet, absolutely not. December 1st. Good evening, ERNet 100. Thanks for tuning in. Good evening, Scotty 0131. Not until the 12th. Jasmine's saying December the 1st. Boo. Okay, not until December.
I'm with you.
Who else we got in here? Derek Ebbs is saying goes up on the 24th, comes down on the 26th.
Wow,
Sounds like there's a euphemism in there, Derek, somewhere. Try and keep it clean.
That's a lot of work, though. He's talking about the tree.
It's a lot of work.
Just saying, Triggerfish, good evening. Hope you're good. Yazman Reef, thanks for tuning in. Mickey Boy Mick, nice to see you as always on a Friday night. Dong is the GOAT. Yes, he is. There we go. AAC TV, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at your 18th birthday bash.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Did you get the email, Steph, about going in a mankini at all, or was it Jamie that's turned up in the mankini? Just wondered which one of you was turning up in the mankini for the 18th birthday.
Well, we got Hunter, didn't we?
Well, yeah, it's now warm down there, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say it is cold just before you do that, you know. Yeah.
Junior 4488, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Milo, hope you're good. And Stephen Owen, 1975, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I agree. December. That kind of is the rule in my household. Not sure about yours. Thanks for tuning in, gentlemen. Yeah, we made it. It's Friday. Reefing. Over to Dong. Now. Testing.
Yeah, testing. All right. Yeah, testing. 1, 2, 3. Rule number 1: if you have a test strips, you go straight down to the toilet. Yeah, because none of the testing strip can give you any reasonable number. Those are jokes. Those only happen in Pecos. So down the toilet it goes. So you can get that out of the way first.
Okay.
Next slide, please.
Yes, boss.
Okay. All right, there's a priority of testing. That means that how tired you are after one day. You get home, you're so tired, you do not want to do anything, but you still need to test the tank. Then here's the priority. So if you're extremely tired, just test your salinity and go to bed. And if you still have a little bit energy left after you test the salinity, take a look at the thermometer and make sure the temperature is not cooking or freezing cold. And if you still have anything left after a full day's hard work, and you can test the alkalinity. And then you go to bed. That's basically it. If you're really tired for the day. The top 3, the salinity, the temperature, the alkalinity, and then you shut off the light and go to bed. And wake up the next morning and say, hey, what's my pH? Then you look at the pH meter. Then you get some semi-idea where the pH is. As long as it's in range, that's fine. And then you find out that, oh yeah, I need to have breakfast. After I have breakfast, I get some energy. Then you can look at your calcium. So after you test your calcium, you find out that actually I want to do something else to make my life more fulfillment, feel better if I do more. Then you can test your magnesium. And then after you test your magnesium, you watch your YouTube channel, say, hey, those red fuel ratio, god damn it. Then you should test your nitrogen and phosphate. And after you test that, you get totally confused. You don't know how to take this. And then you fell asleep on the lab, on the desk. And so that's end of it. And then after you wake up, wow, it's 7 p.m. already. Maybe I should look at my potassium. Why is that? Because absolutely not that important, right? Well, I should better test my own potassium than what the potassium in the tank. So then you go for a dinner. And then after you get back from dinner, you said, my Light Sabre just say something because it really get bored. And then you said, I really get bored. I need to test something. Then let's test silicate. And after you test the silicate, you pull out your wallet and look at that. I have all these $40 I don't know how to spend. Why don't we just get some trace element tested? So this is the priority. The bottom line is that it depends on how much energy you should left. After you test your trace element, your wallet is totally empty. And then your kid said, hey, can I have a present for Christmas? He said, what Christmas? You ain't got no Christmas because I spent all my money and energy into testing. That is a sad life of a reefer. So next slide, please.
Just before we do, Doug, sorry.
Okay.
Jamie, Steph, how often do you test the list in front of you? Honestly, how often do you test? So what do you test and how often? And this includes you watching at home. Get involved. How often do you test? Before we move on, how often do you test and which ones?
So I was going to say the order of that will change on the frequency of your testing, right? So if you're testing every day, salinity is probably not going to change that much. So you can drop it down a bit.
Okay.
But I mean, I try and test once a week. I literally do try and do my pinks and blues once a week. But then at the moment, because I've just moved a load of coral out, I'm trying to dial in my alkalinity. So I'm doing that daily at the moment while I'm changing my pumps around. But yeah, hands up, I work in water treatment. I do it for a living. I do it weekly. I'm a geek.
So you work in water treatment for a living and you test your tank once a week?
Because he's sick and tired of testing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And when I help out at AAC, after having done a long week of water treatment, I help out AAC and Paul gets me testing. I can't get away from it.
Wow.
How about Steph?
Okay.
Well, actually, I test my alkalinity every 6 hours. Yeah.
Well, there's a few comments here regarding automated testing. Testing.
Yeah, well, to be honest, salinity is, when I do a water change, I'll check the salinity in the barrel, even though I know where the line is on the cup to the mix. And then I'll change the water and test it. But once that is only time I ever check salinity. And then temperature is on a probe. Sometimes I'll check that with the pen, but never regularly. And I do rely on the Trident for alkalinity every day to get that. I've been trying to stabilize it recently, so I've been doing a few things. And then an ICP once a month. Never manually tested potassium. And you can do that though, right? In those Salifit kits. Never done it.
Actually, it's pretty easy for the Salifit kits. So at the beginning, it's kind of intimidating. But then once you test several times, you get used to it. So basically, I'm looking at it every day.
I'm not bullshitting. I'm being honest. Don't know what he's on about.
I think I've had more issues with salinity than any other parameter. And as we say, it's like you can chase the numbers as much as you want, but if this isn't on point, you are wasting your time. So
yep, absolutely.
Definitely agree that one's at the top. Okay.
Yeah, but
so how often do you test yours, Tom?
I test my salinity because I dose Calquasser now on the garage quite a lot on the DT. I test my salinity, believe it or not, every other day. I have to. because I dose so much.
Yeah, okay.
And I've had issues by getting it wrong. The other issue I've had, and we talked about this briefly, and it is on there, is calcium. I've had my calcium drop, and it's caused a lot of issues with my SPS tank downstairs by it being lower than it should. If you remember, I said the pH, the CO2 scrubber was sat on the dosing line, and it nipped it, and it stopped it dosing for about 2 weeks. So the calcium dropped to about 300, and I lost. Well, I didn't lose. I started to lose a few SPS, and this is over to Dong. This is Dong's show for a minute, but Dong's slide. But because I was patient enough and I didn't rip them all out, they have started to grow back. But what I'm saying, I can clearly see the detriment of having a lower calcium level. But anyway, sorry, Dong. Moving on. Here you go.
No. Okay. So, salinity. Well, just like we all agreed that this actually is the most important parameter, because the rest of the parameters is all based on the salinity. So according to what I experienced from my customers, salinity actually frequently is the one that get wrong. And then all this problem is somehow related to the wrong salinity measurement. So here we can see there's a plenty of this digital refractometer, regular refractometer, and also the Hanna checker, and the hydrometer, also the swing arms. Okay, the funny thing is that, so the one that Tom, can you get back to that slide, please? Yep, thank you. So it turns out the digital refractometer is the one that get wrong the most. It looks like every customer I have who use that the Milwaukee version of digital refractometer, the salinity is wrong.
They just need calibrating. I don't know why. You use it, don't they?
Yeah, actually the calibration is wrong by itself. I don't know what happened to them, because it looks like close to 99% of them are wrong.
Well, the experience I've had is
against this guy. This is the gold standard.
Is the plate not being at a certain temperature? If that plate's 20 degrees, I think it is, or less, it doesn't give you an accurate reading. It has to be of a certain temperature. So it's not automatic temperature controlled like most refractometers are.
That's the big problem. Yeah. And then the next thing is this Hanna digital meter. So actually, there's a trick about this digital meter. So at the beginning, when you just bought it and calibrate it, it works really well. And then you will find out this meter will gradually drift away.
Yeah.
What actually happened is that, if you can see, there's a 2 carbon electrode here. It's hard to see the black dot?
Yeah.
Those 2 black dots actually get coated with bacterial film. Yep. And that actually will affect the accuracy of this meter. So now here's a tip. And I talked to Hanna. It turns out once in a while, what you want to do is use a file to file down the 2 electrode, the black electrode inside this gap. You can see this black one, the black dot.
Yeah.
The black dot, these 2. Use a file or a cardboard box, send it down, and then calibrate it, and then use it, and you will have approximately 1 month of accurate reading, provided you are doing every day, at least once a day.
Wow.
It's because of these 2 carbon electrodes get coated with organic material that from your reef tank.
That makes sense.
Some of the cheaper electronic ones, they just work off a theoretical conversion from TDS, but TDS can be influenced by so many things. It just
is terrible. Those kind of our cheaper one is really terrible.
It's a bit like when you use a refractometer and you're using your distilled water, or
that's another problem.
Your reference solution.
Distilled water, I don't know where my refractometer goes. When you use your distilled water to calibrate the refractometer, actually that's the common mistake. But unfortunately, the user manual for this refractometer, they all tells you to calibrate at 0 using the RODI. But the problem is that back 20 years ago, and the refractometer is like $100, something like that, and they're precisely marked on the scale. For those good refractometer, it's okay to calibrate at 0 using RODI. But these days, a $20 refractometer from Amazon or from Temu, whatever.
Yeah.
The big problem is that the scales are not precisely marked. If you calibrate at the bottom, when you're measuring at the middle of the scale, the error is really big. That's why you need to use seawater standard at 35 ppt to calibrate right in the middle. So even the scale is not precisely marked, the deviation is not too bad. But the best way to do it, this is not a Light Sabre, but it looks like a Light Sabre, right?
Don't drop it.
Oh, well, yeah. So that's a tropic marine hydrometer. You can see how massive this thing is. And then it has a very fine gradient scale over there. And also the best part is that this thing actually calibrates at 77 degrees Fahrenheit at where our normal temperature is. So if you spend $10 to get a hydrometer from Petco, those things not gonna cut it. Seriously. Those are our cheaper $10 hydrometer is only give you errors. If you want to use a hydrometer, you want reliable data, that is the only thing that is trustworthy. So what I do is that I use this to calibrate my refractometer because the refractometer is much easier to use than this
that's a good idea.
elephant.
Okay.
Yeah. So that way that and also
So how is that in terms of temperature sensitive?
Because you mean this guy?
Yeah.
It is calibrated at 77 Fahrenheit.
So what I'm saying is, do you have to be testing it based on the same? You have to get the temperature. You have to get the temperature to the right temperature to be able to in order to test it.
Yes. But normally that your tank temperature is about 76 or 78 Fahrenheit. So
but if you run a tank cooler or you run a tank warmer, that is going to have an effect.
Yes, it does, but the effect is really tiny.
Okay.
The reason that do you know if you got a $10 hydrometer from Amazon, do you know what temperature those hydrometer is calibrated on?
No, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
Yes, 60 degrees. I don't know what exactly. Yeah, they are calibrated 60 degrees. The reason for that is that most of them are used for shipping to measure the sea salinity, something to do with shipping the ballast, whatever about the bulk, that kind of thing. And in the ocean, 60 degrees is pretty common. So those tiny, our cheaper one, they calibrated actually at 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just you guys talk. I'm just going to throw back into the comments. Salinity weekly, temp constant. Yeah, a few people using automated. A few people calling you lazy. Jamie again. ASE again. Bit of a pattern here. Salinity. Calcium Mac NO3. As little as possible. Know your own tank. Trident takes care of it.
Roll back to that Trident thing.
Oh, there you go, Lisa.
Don't trust the Trident. Unless it's brand new, or you just pay Trident for the annual service.
Because
the Salinity probe is the worst thing ever happened to this this hobby. The Salinity probe is absolutely not trustworthy.
David make a good point. You shouldn't use a hydrometer in beer. It doesn't work.
I'll take Tom's comment on board about if you're dosing calc or whatever, it can interfere, so you test it regularly. My quick check of salinity, my salinity creeps up over time just by dosing 2-part, but we're talking weeks, right?
Yeah.
My first quick check of salinity is I come into the fish room, I take the cover off my sump, and I've got a white sticker for my water level. If my water level's the same, where it always is, I know my salinity hasn't changed too much. And that's just my spot check. Unless the ATO's fucked up and blown its guts or whatever.
One of the biggest sort of learning curves I've had though with like refractometers over the years is like using it and then not rinsing it. So what I'm saying by that is I've learned the hard way by. So when I get a refractometer to test my salinity, I rinse it, as in I use go on, help me out, distilled
RODI.
water. I use distilled water. I don't use RODI because I just don't trust it. I use distilled water out of separate bottles. There's no contamination. I rinse it. I wipe the lens, then I'll do a measurement, and then I'll rinse it again, and then I'll do a measurement, and then I'll rinse it again, because I try and keep it as clean and sterile as possible. Which, well, not sterile, but as clean as possible for any salt build-up, because the slightest can have the slightest deviation. I've found, anyway, from personal experience, the slightest
that's
alteration.
absolutely true. Absolutely true. Just a tiny speck of salt on the lens itself will affect the reading. So that's why what I do every day, water, wipe, and then wipe it dry, and then don't forget to wipe this side too.
That's what, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's same with when you put it down. If you put it down too heavy and you drop it, it sometimes it can knock it off again, knock it off a little bit. I've had that as well.
Tom, you need a better one.
Well, just saying. Yeah, send me one out. Post one out.
Yeah. So the actually, I do see those kind. That means that the internal mechanism is not tight secure. So that's why some people find their refractometer shift. They need to calibrate very often, but spend the money on a heavy one. This one is really heavy. They have a very nicely manufactured glass prism, and also the mechanical thing inside is very tight. I can shake it, drop it, throw it away, pick it up, and it doesn't shift. So
that's the one. Incidentally, I think I've got.
They look similar. They all look similar. Yeah. So, for example, one
it's
time
the same as Jebao. Sorry, dog. Same as Jebao, though. And MP40, MP60. Just saying.
So the funny thing is that every time that a customer brought their refractometer come in for calibration, because I have the standard food, I calibrate for everybody that who's willing to come in to do a calibration. The first thing they do, I hand him this one. Now, see that the weight. So if your refractometer is really fairly lightweight, just trash can it goes. Yeah. You should get something really heavy, because some of the refractometer, the glass prism is plastic.
All right, okay.
Yeah, make sure you get a glass, one.
So therefore, when it comes to the light, you have to help me out here. Scientific term. You know what I mean? The bending of the light is not going to be as accurate. Right, okay. Right, we're on the same page. Yeah. So people watching it, people watching at home, Don, preferences on testing salinity methodology. What would you suggest? People watching at home, what's your sort of top? Okay.
Get this guy. The force with you with this guy. The force is strong with this one. Okay. And then, but it's a pain in the butt to use. Yeah. Use this.
Well, it will be if yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then this is easy.
Okay.
And this, this one is just unreliable.
Yes, I agree. So, I tried. That's my. Do you know what I use? Do you know what I use a Hanna pen for? In all fairness, because I bought one of those when they first came out, and I was like, oh yeah, they're great. And then I realized I was going through more reagents with that than I was anything else. That's what I stopped with.
Yes.
But the good thing with that is the temperature. If you're mixing your own salt, it is quite good for that, because you can use it to say the temperature.
Yes.
That's why I keep using, and it's fast. So I use that for that exact reason. But okay, so people that want to use the hydrometer, and you say it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So how do they use it at home? So they've got a fish tank at home. They can mix their own water. How do they apply it then? You've just said use your refractometer, use your hydrometer. How do they use it at home?
You use the hydrometer to calibrate the refractometer.
Okay.
For example, if you get any water, any salt tank water. So you use this measure. Okay, if this reading is 1.026,
Yeah.
and use the same water to calibrate the refractometer to 1.026, and then
Okay.
you're all set.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
a
use
good
your
one
little,
only
use your
needs to
little
calibrate once.
screwdriver. Use your
Yeah,
little
little
screwdriver up
screwdriver,
and
yeah.
down. Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So anything on that
Yep.
list that you think is reefing dog shit?
Oh, actually, it's not. For matter of fact, the swing
Okay.
arm is more reliable than a miscalibrated or uncalibrated refractometer. Yeah.
Really?
The swing arm, may not be that size, but it won't throw you off. Because I have seen some of the refractometer, the uncalibrated or miscalibrated one, is 0.04 off.
Wow.
That is huge. So this can be a real disaster if it's not properly calibrated. But the swing arm is a lot safer. So if it's 1.023 versus 1.024, no big deal. 1.025 versus 1.026, no big deal. But 0.04 difference is a big deal.
You've just said on this slide here, on Great Barrier Reef, salinity varies mostly from 34 to 35 ppt.
Yep. That brings you one thing is that I don't know what happened to UK, but in US, many fish store keeps a really low salinity, like 1.020. So that means around 32 ppt or 30 ppt, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What, in the coral tables as well, or just for fish only systems?
Oh, even the coral system has a low salinity. Because there's several reasons for that. One, to save salt. Lower salinity, you don't have to use as much salt. And second thing is that local fish stores' primary function is not to grow coral, but is to house the coral and sell them quick.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's why that when you buy some coral from local fish store, make sure to check their salinity. And if their salinity is way off, much lower than your reef tank, make sure you spend a little bit time to alkalinate your coral back to your higher salinity.
Right, I'm just going to look at people for talking about salinity very briefly before we move on. What have we got in here? A few questions. We'll get to some of these in a second. Timothy, once a week. Sally for the win. I'd rather Milwaukee come in 1 point high than 1 point low. Evening, practical reef. Also, make sure you're on SG salinity gravity.
Why is that?
I'm sure my spectral gravity was 1.26, but my PPT was 30.
Oh, that means you probably got a wrong instrument. That's impossible.
Oh,
because 1.026 is about 35 ppt.
Here we go. You've seen it live.
want to see that the number over there. No, fresh water doesn't work. I got to get some salt water. Yeah, the refractometer is not.
What's my homostatic area? I'll do that down. So I use the hydrometer now solely. Not the lick test, Don. I've been doing this wrong for years. People are saying there's a salinity lick test.
Oh, the lick test?
I can believe
do that.
This. Yeah.
So definitely
salty.
Definitely the salty. 35 ppt is about 1.026.
Yes. What we got in here?
Yeah. If the instrument tells you 1.026 is 30 ppt, so the instrument is seriously has a manufacturer defect.
I think you can get, to be fair, Mo, you can get it off Amazon. It's pretty much cheap. This still water. I get it from, it's literally, I was getting it from APC Pure, but it's actually cheaper through Amazon. And it's just as good. What about calibration solution? People are saying to you, don't.
Oh.
Yeah, accuracy that Julian Strong does. That's quite a good one.
Very good question. Unfortunately, the reason I bought this thing to calibrate my refractometer is that I bought all the calibration solution on the freaking market. They all read different.
Really?
Then which one do I? Yes. Then which one do I trust?
Yeah.
That is a big problem. That's why I bought this. Yeah, don't trust your calibration solution. Seriously. I fell into that rabbit hole before.
Amazing Diving Man is in the house. Good evening, Jen. That'll be good. I always match salinity and pH is my standard. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. What's wrong with distilled water from Halfords? Moving on. Right, next slide. Down. Over to you.
Yep, I think we already covered that.
We've already touched on that.
That's the gold standard. Yep. And we talk about the calibration. And also we talk about, now we're going to talk about another important thing is the temperature.
Okay.
I think that I remember we talked about that if we give the our tank a little bit temperature swing, the coral has a stronger immune system. Not only that, actually, that this is a paper I found that if the coral went through the daily temperature change a large, it actually more resist bleaching. Same idea as that, like Steph, you should put your kid, your newborn baby, in a cat litter box, then you will be much more resistant to allergy.
Yeah,
he's thinking about it.
I was thinking if the box is big enough.
So we talk about a lot about temperature. So let's go to the next slide. Tom. All right.
I'm here. Sorry.
By talking to some of the Australia hobbyists, exporter, collector, that's something that actually, if you want more information, you can always look back into one of our Rapping with Ribbon episode that talking with the Australian folks. So there's actually some of the coral in our hobby actually come from temperate zone. That means they come in lower water temperature, like 72 degrees. Sometimes it's upper 60 degrees Fahrenheit, like 68, 69. So there is a wonderful channel called the Reef Craft on YouTube. And this guy put out some fascinating YouTube videos about the coral reef. So this is some of the coral actually happen in the temperate zone in Australia. So the idea is that when we are buying Australian coral, we shouldn't automatically assume they come from tropical region. There is subtropical region in Australia too, and many coral are collected there. Yeah, it's a big country, and many coral collected for this hobby actually coming from temperate zone. One of the coral they mentioned is actually Acan lure. Many of the Acan lure actually come from a lower temperature water, like 72 or 70 degree Fahrenheit. So that means that we're actually cooking many of our LPS to death in our high tropical temperature in our tank. So that's why, that's another thing we should pay attention to is about the temperature. That is the reason I keep all my tanks at 76 degrees in the middle ground.
Okay. 76, sorry. 76 is what? Steph, Jamie, help me out here.
I've just been doing it then as he said that. So
yeah, I can compare it on an old school.
It's 24.4.
Yeah.
24 degrees,
Really?
something like that, right?
24?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I run my tank at 24.5. That's what I aim for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I run mine a lot warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
My SPS
I've been told
tank.
to do that actually, but yeah, 24.5 is where I'm at.
What about if you
What
think
tip- what
about
tip-
the
Sorry,
biology
Jamie.
as well?
Sorry,
Biology.
Jamie. Just quickly.
Go on.
What do you guys run your tanks at in the audience? Please throw it in the comments, just out of curiosity. Sorry, go on, Jamie. What were you saying?
So what about some of the biology of the animals on the reef in the same spot? So for every 10 meters depth, I think you get a degree Celsius drop in temperature. And obviously some of our animals are collected at 20 or 30 meters, so they're going to be lower and a more constant or less variable temperature than the surface ones.
Torch corals are often found deeper as well.
So there's a lot of variance even in the same habitat in terms of temperature. We just don't. We keep our glass box the same throughout because that's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
It's just being aware of it.
You have to help me.
So we just have to compromise.
I'm saying 25.2. Will, good evening. Oh, Will BRS. Thanks for coming back on, man.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Hey, Will.
77. Range 75 to 80. Yeah, I run at 26.
Wow, that's a big range.
I'm pushing 25.5. Terry's 77. Reefer Fish 3178. Alicia 76, 78. Marine Reefer 25.2. Between 24 and 26. 24 and 25. Evening, Chris. That'd be good. Gaza 23.5. I take AIDS in brown jelly disease.
All diseases.
Yes, it does. It does. So the reason for that is that brown jelly disease, actually one of the major causes of brown jelly disease, it could be it's a pathogenic version of the Vibrio.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a publication showing that some of the bacteria will turn pathogenic when the temperature hit about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like what, 26, right? 80 degrees is what?
Yeah, 26.
Yeah. So the higher temperature actually activated a protein called the heat shock protein inside the bacteria. The bacteria turn from totally friendly, become an asshole. Sorry. Oh, it's Friday anyway.
Go for it.
Yep, that's absolutely true. So let's move on.
I run my tanks too warm. I always have done. But...
Oh yeah, and remember that the warmer the tank it costs you more electricity to maintain at that temperature.
Yeah, but I've always sort of seen it as more of a high energy reef, as in everything, the metabolic state of the corals, the light, the pH, the heat, the flow. It all seems to has worked.
Well, when the temperature is higher, yes, the metabolic state is higher, but also not only the coral reach a higher metabolic state, your bacteria also. So your bacteria can multiply faster, and sometimes when bacteria multiply too much, it can be harmful. It turns into a good bacteria to the dark side.
Well, that's like the old school method of speeding up the white spot parasite, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now, how do we get our temperature information? There's several things. On the left, that's a piece of shit. So nobody should trust any digital thermometer like this. Those belong to kindergarten, playroom, and all belong to something like Petco or whatever. So those things never tell you a good accurate temperature. Yeah.
Next time you say to me POS, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at I've got one over there.
Then in the middle, actually, is a Inkbird temperature pro, and Inkbird is pretty okay. Yeah,
I think they're good.
Actually,
Inkbird,
there's one of the temperature sensor from Inkbird is trackable. That means it's Bluetooth connected. So that's the one I have on each system. I can download the temperature graph without Apex. I can see my temperature graph for the past months, how the temperature up and down. Those have been that has been quite useful. And if you really want some more accurate temperature, there is the yellow one on this slide. Actually, it's very accurate. The important thing is that not only is traceable, it's also is calibrated.
Oh, I thought you were going to say what's more important is it's called a lollipop dong.
Oh, that the lollipop because of the shape. Yeah.
Dong's
$45. Yeah, that is
Salinity
the
tested.
lollipop. Yeah. So it's calibrated. If you really want to know what your temperature exactly is, for consumer, that's a very good one to buy. Not sponsored, not affiliated. At least this guy is made by a scientific company, a good scientific company. So, yeah, that is something you want to do. Okay. Now we get past the salinity and temperature, and now we come to the alkalinity. So that is the thing that you should test. Actually, I test them every day. It's very important thing. So the alkalinity, there's two kind of method. One is called the titration method, and then the other thing is the colorimetric method, which means the Hanna tester method. Many years ago, EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in US, they actually rule out the accuracy of the colorimetric testing. If you want to publish anything about alkalinity for seawater, you have to do a titration method, like the one that the Salinity test kit does. So keep in mind that alkalinity testing for colorimetric, like the Hanna test kit, is actually not that accurate. Just keep in mind of that.
100%.
That is one of the reasons why, like the Trident is a titration. The automatic is titration. The KH Guardian, actually most of the automatic tester for alkalinity out there so far in our hobby are titration based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, on that basis, for work, I use this, which is about £1,400 for a photometer, which does about 560 tests for loads of stuff. What don't I use it for? Alkalinity, pH, and calcium, because it
looks like the first Nokia phone I had. Jamie, can you play Snake on that by any chance?
Can you talk into that?
Can't even do that. You can't even do that. What do you want for £1,400?
Yeah. I'll take two.
And here's an interesting story that a friend of mine came over and we do a little contest. He is the big fan of a Hanna checker. I'm a big fan of using the Salinity test kit. So we did a contest saying that how fast we can get the number. So when I'm done with my testing, he's still wiping his cuvette on his Hanna checker. So then he said, well, the reason he used Hanna checker because that give you the digital readout. There is a psychological thing for human being. Sometimes we assume a digital number is more accurate, but that's just in your mind. It gives you a number, a digital readout does not mean it gives you a more accurate data.
It is convenient. The only reason,
the only
benefit to it is we do experiments all the time at work where we get 3 or 4 of us to do the same test on the same sample, titration test, and we all end up with about 15-20% difference of each other because our eyes just see the color differently, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the Hanna checker just takes all that out of it. You just press a button, get a number, and that's it. And that's the benefit of it. Accuracy, not so much, but the titration test is much better, more accurate. But if you ask 5 people to do it, you'll probably get 5 different answers. It's like
I've found in my time reefing that I have only ended up using the Hannas for nutrient measuring, nothing else. I use titration for everything else, and I use the Hannas for nitrate and phosphate. Yes, I could do 3 tests in a row of each phosphorus and nitrate and get 3 different readings, but I guarantee you they will be thereabouts in a range, and that's all I'm looking for. Is it above a number? Is it below a number? And I'm happy with that, and I'll leave it at that.
That's the thing with the Hanna checkers. They are respective within their own range. So if you're using that to test your alkalinity, use that to test your alkalinity. You're going to know the number where it is.
I put that in the write up. To be fair, for tonight's show, it's because like, at what point do you start going down that path of chasing numbers? And I've been down it several times.
Yeah.
And I think some of these testing equipment, especially Hanna, and I do use them, so I'm not dissing it. I do think that certain like Dong's saying, certain products or certain parameters that you're testing can push you down that, especially alkalinity, can push you down that path of testing it over and over and over and over and over again. And I just think sometimes just do, for me, the alkalinity, the mag, and the calcium titration all day long. And I'll use the Hannas for the nutrients, and I use the refractometers and the hydrometer for the salinity. And I have got a cupboard, some of them in a box, all jokes aside, with everything. I've tried them all, and these seem to be, and it's like anything, the more you feel it works, the more you buy into it. And the more you buy into it, the more you keep doing it. And the more you keep doing it, the more success you're going to have. It's the more repetition you have with the hobby. Sound like a stuck record, but you know.
Mm.
So there is something called a consistency of testing. Yeah, because that is it's more important to look at the trend you compare to the last test. Compare the test that you did 2 weeks ago all by yourself. So that trend actually tells you more story than the absolute number.
Yeah.
So let's
Don, quickly, what do you think about testing certain parameters at certain times of the day? Do you think you should? Does that make a difference?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
For example, alkalinity actually changed throughout the day. So there's plenty of evidence that when people are using Trident to monitor the daily swing of alkalinity, so because that alkalinity consumption actually correlate to your photo period. Yeah. So you preferably you should test your alkalinity at the same time or similar time of the day. Yeah, that does make a big difference in terms of alkalinity as well as calcium. Okay. This slide actually is a very important slide, and that tells you the alkalinity not only is important, but the mechanism of how coral utilize alkalinity is really complicated. So if you watch a lot of YouTube video, especially from some vendors, you might lead to a pass thinking about alkalinity is such a simple thing, and coral just grab it and throw it into the inside the cell, inside the tissue, and then form calcium carbonate. No, it's not that simple. So the reason for that is that alkalinity is a very complex function that coral utilize, and actually it has if you look at this, a very complex and make your head spin, that kind of graph on the right hand side. To sum it up, it's very simple. In the seawater, because the seawater is highly alkaline, that means it's high pH. Carbon dioxide is its very, very small amount. Mostly the carbon dioxide will exist as bicarbonate. That is the alkalinity we measure. That is what the coral utilize, the bicarbonate, as a carbon source for photosynthesis as well as to building their skeleton. So what happened to coral that does not have a skeleton, like Polyxenia? They still take your alkalinity for photosynthesis. Anything that doing photosynthesis in the reef tank or in the ocean, they all use alkalinity. That is a take-home message. That means that alkalinity always, coral always use up more alkalinity than calcium.
Don, question for you.
1-to-1 ratio, huh? Go ahead.
A question. I've just got a question. What about if your alkalinity uptake stalls? So you're dosing the same amount, but suddenly your alkalinity is starting to spike. What do you think's caused that?
So you mean that when you're dosing the same amount, and then
yes, you dose the same amount, but suddenly your alkalinity spiked.
Yep, that means that your coral actually stopped taking them in. All the the photosynthesis organism stop taking them in. That actually is a warning sign. Yeah.
And what do you
But
think
of
causes
course,
that, Don?
that means that the coral or the algae or whatever they're doing photosynthesis, their activity is reduced.
Mhm.
So that actually lead to this misconception about high alkalinity can damage coral. Because the scenario is like this. So Joe smoke and come home and look at his tank, his coral dying, and then alkalinity skyrocketed. So, oh, the alkalinity is responsible for my coral dying. But actually, it's the opposite. It's when the coral suffer and dying,
It
and
stops
then
uptaking, so therefore it's
exactly.
higher. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. And then your calcium reactor or two-part dosing continue to pump alkalinity in there.
Yeah.
Then the testing results show that your alkalinity rise up because there's less alkalinity being utilized by coral.
So if you had a tank, Don, and I've got this in one of the small tanks, your alkalinity is going up. What do you think the primary cause for that? What would be the first thing you look at? And as well for anyone who's watching, who is now going to look out for that. What do you think? What would you look at first?
Is look at the coral to see if they're suffering.
But if the corals don't, that's the problem. The corals aren't suffering. So this is the first warning sign, right?
Yeah, if you see a coral close up or the tank is a little bit milky or whatever, that kind of thing, that's a first sign that something is going wrong. But
I mean, are we looking at nutrients, Don? Are we looking at nutrients? Are we looking at another element?
I won't say you were looking at nutrients personally with alkalinity. Alkalinity is
actually, the first thing I would check a dosing pump.
Yeah, say hardware issue maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure the
testing.
hardware is consistent. Sometimes that the dosing pump is not consistent. Or maybe you have a clog that happened on the alkalinity line, and that clog being resolved, and then the dosing pump actually putting more alkalinity in the water.
Well, I mean, you talked about testing, and I don't know whether you're going to cover it in your slide, Don. Sorry to run before I can walk here, but there's also an argument to say that every test kit has to be done in a certain way, and not everybody's going to do the test kit to the same, by the book. There might be a little bit of deviation there. Therefore, you might get a little bit of deviation in your readings again. And these are hobby grade. These are hobby grade test kits. These aren't scientific tens of thousands of dollars, pounds test kits. These are budget test kits that we pay a lot of money for, that we think are expensive, and they are to our pockets, but nothing compared to probably what Jamie uses in his industry or other scientific industries. So what I'm saying is that sometimes when you don't get the number you expect, I always test and test again to make sure it's not me that's doing it wrong, just in case.
Actually, here's a funny thing. So that this has happened to many hobbyists. If you test, you get the number you expected, you think, oh, everything's right. Okay, then if you don't get the number you expected, you test again. And then you still doesn't get the number expected.
Like when you look at a coral, and it started to RTN a little bit. You go, no, it hasn't. And you look at the coral from a different way. No, it hasn't.
Or even when you're doing the test, you look at the color, and you know what color you want it to go, and you go, it's all right. It's not quite red.
And I think that, and to be fair, Steph, that is exactly why a lot of people deviate to the Hanna checkers. Because they're not sure of the colour. So they'll go, is it this? Is it that? And that's why I always gravitate to the Hannas when it comes to the nutrient levels. Because for the nutrient testing, because I've spent so many times with me and my missus about, is it pink?
You tell me what colour you see. Yeah.
Is it blue? And even the lighting, you're looking under it, the lighting you're looking under it can have an impact on the accuracy.
It's funny with the Hannas where when you mix the especially the nitrate, the phosphate one up, and it's blue. It's blue before you put it in. You got,
If it's good before you put it in, you know you've got phosphate.
I know the
Simple as
numbers
that.
in
Yeah,
the
so for the nitrate phosphate, definitely the Hanna test kit has an advantage
Yes.
because that the sulfur test kit is pretty rough
Mm.
in terms of estimation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
all of those kits are because of the colours. You can pick a colour that's in your head because you want to be. Oh, that's all right. That. Those I always do it
So
anyway.
I think that no matter what test kit you use, if you really get used to it, so yeah, I probably
Like the
should stick
Salifert
with that.
with those Salifert ones, you can pretty much put in like 50-60% of the solution as to what you're the range you're expecting your alkalinity to be.
Yeah,
at,
yeah,
right?
and then you slow down.
So, and then you slow down because you know roughly where you're going to be. Yeah.
But here, yes, but here is something that I really found out interesting is that so when you use your sulfur test kit, if you use frequently, maybe every month you use up the whole alkalinity test kit, you get a brand new one. Okay. But within the Hanna alkalinity test, there's other important factor that can affect the testing result as well. For example, you've got fingerprint on the vessel, the cuvette, that affect their data. And more important, that tiny LED inside the egg can degrade.
Well, a lot of people from experience will shake the cuvette with their index finger and their thumb in this motion, and I've done it several times. And you clean the cuvette, but you forget to clean the bottom, and that's where the light emits. Oh, careful what I'm doing here. Sorry, folks. That's where the light will emit through the bottom, and that's the most important bit. And if you've got fingerprints on that, no matter how much you've cleaned the side of it, that is going to interfere with the reading.
You've also got, if you're doing a phosphate test or an organics test and you're using your finger as the stopper, you can introduce contamination that way. And it's surprising how much that can deviate.
Yeah.
But what I will say with
Hanna's
as well,
wearing a glove actually helps.
Yeah. Or screwing the lid back on and using the lid as a shaker.
But I stopped using the because you know on the Hanna cuvettes, it's got the 10 mil mark. The 10 milliliter mark.
The curve.
Yeah. So I actually use a 10 mil syringe to make sure I'm putting 10 mil into it.
Yeah.
But it's never on the line. It's never on the line when you do that.
So I use a 10 mil syringe to make sure that I'm putting 10 mil into it. Is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. pH is one of the most debated parameter.
pH is king.
Yes.
Just saying.
And then I can tell you that the pH test kit, that the titration one, piece of junk. If you want your pH, you got to have a pH meter. And then can we go back? Can we go back, please, Tom? Okay. The middle one, the yellow one, give you a number. They normally cost about like $15 to $20. They give you a number. So what? They're still piece of shit. Yeah. So then on the right hand side is that's a precision marine a pH meter. You actually use appropriate pH probe. That's slightly better. So, but even with that, your pH number is still a joke.
Okay.
Let's go to the next slide. The minimum acceptable handheld pH meter is this on the left. It costs you about $100-something. And that kind of is made by Thermo Scientific, which is a very reputable scientific company. And that is something, if you want to change your pH, the bare minimum is to get something like that. So your pH the number on that meter actually means something. For example, a guy come here tell me, my pH is 8.9 and my coral grows like wildfire. I said, oh, really? Then here's my water sample, my magical 8.9 pH. Then I grab my calibrated pH meter, put in there. The pH meter said 8.2. That's what it is. So there is no magical high pH. Many people saying that they have this 8.6, 8.7, 8.9 pH and the coral is still alive. Most likely, they don't have a very accurate pH meter.
Don, elephant in the room as we're going through this presentation. Talk to me about frequency for people watching at home. What is your opinion of how often people should be testing these parameters? How often?
Okay, pH. So how often is that? Of course, the salinity I test every day.
Okay, salinity every day. Yeah.
Yep. Temperature every day, of course.
Yeah.
That alkalinity I test every day.
Yeah.
And pH, I only test it when I feel like it. But it's almost every day because it's so easy. As long as you have a good meter.
Okay.
You can test as many times as you want.
So what does Dong use then in terms of apparatus then? Everything you've just explained, what do you use in Acro Gardens?
So far that for alkalinity, you mean a test kit, right?
Just from this you've just said salinity, temperature, alkalinity, pH. What do you use, Acro Gardens? What do you recommend?
So I use a Salifert test kit for the alkalinity. I get used to it. I can test it really quick.
Yeah. And
then for temperature, I have a lab grade thermometer.
Okay.
And then for pH, well, this is a joke. Okay, this is just a joke. I on my hand. So for pH, I do have the pinpoint precision marine pinpoint pH meter, as well as the handheld meter on the left. And if you really want to test your pH, to chase the pH, which I do not do, you need something like a $1,000 pH meter if you really want to chase pH. But chasing pH may not be that effective and useful as you think. So
just
we go to the next slide.
Just before we do move on, Jamie, have you got a pH controller? Or is that a first generation iPod that I've seen
got,
there?
I'm just going on temperature. I've got a Hanna temperature checker with a remote probe, and I've had this for 4 or 5 years now, and every time it gets sent away for calibration, it passes every time. That's the most reliable piece of kit I've ever bought, a Hanna temperature pen.
Come on, show us your tank behind you, live.
What, you want to see the temperature?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Oh, God. Right, okay. Can you see the readout on that?
Yeah, we can see you.
Yeah,
27.8. 27.8. Bloody hell, that's warm.
So my temperature, my apex is set to 25.3 to 25.5, and that is saying 25.3.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
There, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll let you off for that.
Yeah.
We'll let you off for that, mate.
That was good. That could have gone very wrong, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I do catch one thing you said, Jamie. You said you send it out for calibration.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It goes back to
how many reefer do that? How many reefer actually calibrate a temperature probe?
That's only because all of my electronic equipment for work gets sent off, and I just chuck that in the box.
Well, yeah, that's what people should do, is to calibrate that thing. But in this hobby, we rarely calibrate a temperature probe.
The thing is that temperature probe costs about 45 quid to calibrate, so people just buy a new one for the hobbyist sort of grade stuff. You wouldn't do it normally,
and sometimes when you buy a new one, the one that actually you bought may not be calibrated at all. That is the problem. So it's a lot better to calibrate it. Just like
Jamie, if you want to offer any Christmas sort of generosity, people are asking where they should send their pH probes for calibration. Please submit the address, and Luke Green and other people watching will naturally send their.
What we do when we arrange the next Reefing Network meet, I'll bring a big box with me, and everyone can chuck all their kit in it, and I'll take it away and get it all done.
Get it all calibrated, free of charge.
Service for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Lab grade pH probes.
Yep, lab grade pH probes. So if you really believe that you actually bought a lab grade pH probe for your Apex, you're wrong. So your $120 lab grade pH Pro from Neptune system is no better than something like cost $25 on Amazon.
Really? Is that the truth?
Yes, and that doesn't even nowhere near what lab grade actually means. It's simply a double junction pH Pro. That's it.
Wow.
What a really lab grade pH Pro is something you see on the right hand side. That is called a lab grade pH Pro. So if you want to spend $120 for a Neptune branded lab grade pH Pro, just spend $25 on Amazon.
Okay, but just to sort of throw it back a little bit.
Yep.
How long is the $1,000 $1,000 probe? How long is that going to last in terms?
Good question.
Including calibration. How long is that going to outlive me replacing the Apex one every year? Is what I'm saying.
Actually, here's the thing. Rule number 1 pH Pro. If you wanted to accurately measure anything, you should never constantly submerge this Pro in liquid.
What?
Yeah. Yes. How you treat the $1,000 pH Pro? You take it out from the storage and you hold it near your heart and rotate 3 times, jump 3 times, say a prayer, and then calibrate it, and then test it, and take it out and wipe it clean, rinse it.
I'm so glad you didn't tell me I need to put it somewhere else and wipe it clean afterwards. That's good. Yeah.
So your pH Pro supposed to be sit in storage solution all the time.
Yes,
it's a reference.
I was going to ask you that. We store all our stuff in a pH 4 solution. Just that pH 4 keeps the bulb and the membrane the right.
Yep, exactly. That is how you treat professional grade pH Pro. Because that the sin number 1, the biggest sin that you can do to pH Pro is to submerge it constantly in the water.
Salt water.
Wow. Yeah.
It drifts.
Also,
you break.
If you let it dry out as well, that'll knacker it.
Oh yeah.
Dry out.
Yes. You cannot be dry out. Yeah. So that tells you the bottom line is that it's a joke for your new Neptune Apex pH Pro that's sitting in that water all the time. It's a joke.
Quick question on that, Don, from a few people in the comments. Emma's asking, hope you're good. Can Apex Hydros JHL controllers read an actual lab grade probe, in your knowledge?
I think so. It depends on if you have a BNC connector.
Okay.
Yes. You can read, but you still have to calibrate it.
Marine Reef 6064. Yes, the truth. I bought one from Amazon, £25, and lasted longer than my Reef factory one. There we go.
But for matter of fact, if you really care about your pH, you should not put your pH Pro constantly in the water. You measure it, wipe it clean, store it away. And next time, calibrate it, measure, clean, store it away.
So almost from what you're explaining there, almost treat it like a hydrometer in essence.
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah.
In the case.
Yes. If you want your pH Pro to last, as well as actually give you reasonable reading, that's the way to do it.
But some people will use it because I've used the pH Pros, especially on like Apex and other equipment, like some of the comments there about. I've wanted to see trends, especially when it comes to like dialing Calcasserin. You want to see the history when it comes to your photo period, and like when you should be starting your Calcasser or stopping it. You know, because I've always run my reverse photo period. So I suppose having something like that, it gives you a trend. But what you're saying is it's never going to give you that pinpoint accuracy if you want that.
Yes, it will give you a trend.
Yeah.
But the absolute number the pH Pro give you is not that reliable. That means that you cannot use that to chase pH.
But the number doesn't change, does it? So you say the number's not reliable, but the number. So I do it with an ICP once a month to make sure
it does change.
You know what I mean?
That's for example. Actually, For a short period of time, yes, it's pretty. For a short period of time, if you really want to look at the trend, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But if someone said, I want to hit the target of 8.45, that is not doable with that pH probe. Constantly sitting there.
But if you're ICP testing once a month, you get the number, you know your probe's not, the probe's not bang on with the ICP test, right? But the
wait,
2 months
ICP
later,
test, ICP does not actually test the pH, right?
but you get a result, don't you, from like when you do an ICP test, you get a result of everything. I use the ICP test as like the final call for everything that's in the system, right?
Yeah.
Well,
the pH
here's the
can
thing.
destabilize in transit, though. That's the only thing.
No.
Because that your pH is going to change in transit. Guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And also,
So
ICP does not test pH at all. They're using something else. They use another pH probe.
They do it, but you don't know how valuable the data is. Like Steph's right. We do get a result for pH on our ICPs over here, but
yeah, because I went to the ATI lab and they had a pretty something like what you showed us earlier with the desktop sort of what was it, the little, can you go back a slide?
Yeah, the full-on pH probe.
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah.
It was something like that.
I will not use the ICP's pH if they give you the pH as part of the data. I won't rely on that number because that a sample during transit, the pH can change.
Well, so the water is only as good as when it actually got there, as in pH. When it got there, when they tested it, it's not when it was when you sent it.
Yeah, you'll be a different number. So that probably is not valuable at all for the pH.
Okay.
From the report. Okay.
Calibration.
Yep, calibration or pH probe. You always want to do a 2-point calibration. For your display tank, you calibrate at pH 7 and pH 10. If you use your pH probe for your calcium reactor, you do pH 7 and pH 4. Otherwise, that your number just will be screwed up.
Where do you sit on floating the calibration fluid in the water to get it up to tank temperature?
Actually, you can measure most of the pH probe. You can easily measure what the calibration temperature is, and you can see on the label it tells you at different temperature what is the number you should calibrate it on. And also you're using a hobby grade pH probe anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it's not such a big deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just want to see some big change in the range. So the bottom line is that if you really want to chase pH, well, you're probably going to spend a lot of money. Yeah, that's basically it. And don't expect that using your Apex to do that.
What's Luke saying? pH is affected by dissolved CO2. Of course, it will change in transit. Not only that, temperature affects your pH as well. You agree with Luke?
Yeah, it's also a lot of microbial activity can have an effect in transit.
Yes, absolutely. The microbial activity, especially when they're dying. Think about that little thing shipped in 1 week. There's plenty of bacteria dead in that little tubes. When they die, they totally change their pH. Okay. We always think the ocean is absolutely stable, such a beautiful, stable environment. Hell no, it's not. You can look at that on Queensland. In Queensland, you can see that even in the same day at different location, alkalinity is different, pH is different, the saturation state of the arachidonite is different. The ocean is not as stable as we thought it is. So that will go back to the previous question. If my Alchipo, a hobby grade pH probe, is not that accurate, so what? It's okay. As long as do not use it for more than it can give you. Variation, no big deal. It's okay. Let's go to the next slide. Daily pH swing on coral reef.
Wow.
That is from a scientific publication. Oh, by the way, I drew this one up yesterday using my hand. Nah.
Which part of the ocean's this? Where's this water? Do you know where it's come from?
That's in one of the coral reef. I need to look back to the original thing.
Okay.
But that is actually on coral reef. The pH swing, just like in our tank, because of biological activity, right at the coral reef where the coral lives, day and night, the pH is different.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to here. That tells us we do not have to keep a constant pH for the coral to happy. And we do not need to get a reverse cycle on the refugium to keep the pH at a flat line. There's no reason to keep the pH as a flat line. The coral reef experienced the same thing as in our tank due to biological activity. The pH change day and night.
But that is only changing by about 0.3, which I get is a big swing because it's logarithmic. But
0.3 is big.
But in our tanks though, you can go down to sort of 7.8, 7.9, all the way up to 8.4, and we've got a bigger swing in a tank than we have in the wild, right?
Well, surely there's an argument to say it's better to keep it elevated than down in a reef tank.
Huh?
Surely there's an argument to say it's better to keep it elevated, the pH in a reef tank.
Not necessarily. So the pH, basically our tank is a gigantic buffer.
Yeah.
As long as the pH in range, don't even look at it. 7.9 to 8.2 or 8.3, whatever they want to do, just let them do it. Let it go. Don't mess around with it. Just
but you can prevent it from being suppressed, is what I'm saying, by elevating it slightly, depending on your conditions and your environment.
Yes and no, because that the most of from what I have seen throughout the year, when people have this the highly severely depressed pH or highly elevated pH is caused by the inaccurate pH probe.
Okay.
What you see is not what actually happening inside the tank.
Generally speaking, if you've got a decent KH in acceptable range, 7.5, something like that, it's not going to swing drastically. You're not going to get any problems.
Absolutely. That's the whole point about alkalinity. Alkalinity's definition is to hold your pH within range.
Yeah, buffering.
When your alkalinity is in range, your pH cannot swing outside of the range. Because this seawater is a gigantic buffer. That's what the buffer do. Alkalinity is the indicator of the strength of that buffer. If your alkalinity is in check, your pH is in check.
Yeah.
Many people see all this weird thing happening because they do not have a good pH probe or watch too much YouTube video. Yep.
Let's have a look here. What else?
Yep.
I
think that there will be lots of debate about this.
That's exactly how your titration test kit works, right? So just to not dumb it down.
Exactly.
So
That's how the alkalinity titration test kit works.
So your titration kit, you've got your 5 ml sample of tank water, and it's blue, and you want to turn it orange. Well, you're adding an acid, right? The more acid you add, will swing that pH down. That's just the pH indicator. It'll change that color. So it's the same thing in your reef tank. If the higher the alkalinity, the more acid it can take before it changes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's all that's happening. It's nothing too crazy.
Yep.
So yeah, buffer. It's a buffer.
Stop chasing.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's a buffer. Period. Your alkalinity is in check. Sit back, relax, and go to sleep. No need
I've actually
for all
given
this
something incredible today.
Go on, over to calcium. Next slide.
Okay, let's talk about calcium. Take home message: the calcium test kit we are using for our hobby is piece of shit.
This is the same thing every
Seriously.
time now. I don't think there's any
Oh
point
yeah, it
testing
is.
anymore. There's
So
no point.
so
What
basically,
we're doing there.
what we are doing
Use
there,
the force, Steph. Use the force.
use the force, man. So basically we have to realize that there is a pretty significant difference, a margin of error for calcium test kit. But the good thing is that as long as our calcium between 350 to 500, that's a humongous gap, it's all right. So that's why we
See,
can
this
forgive.
is something that you've told me recently that's just blown my mind, because Dong's range of acceptance of parameters is just unreal compared to what you watch on YouTube and what you see on a test kit. You know, and listen, I'm genuinely not gonna challenge you, because I genuinely appreciate your input and your expertise on the channel. But do you not think that there's an argument to think that we're overthinking it a little bit when we do the testing? Because people that are going to do the testing, whether it's weekly, on a weekend, when you do your water change, or it's every other day, or it's your trident or whatever, do you not think that we're all a little bit over worried about certain numbers a little bit?
Absolutely. We stress ourselves out for no reason.
I think there's a massive...
very forgiving person, so that's why my range is so big.
Because, I mean, 350 to 500 is huge. I mean, I've always been taught like 420 to 450, calcium.
No, you don't.
I'm just being honest. That's what I've always been pushed. 420 to 450,
Yeah, I think what you don't want just to bounce between those numbers, do you? Of
course.
Actually, it's pretty difficult to bounce quickly for calcium.
Yeah, it takes a lot.
Also for magnesium, let's go to the next slide. The magnesium.
Oh, I found this one out. So dosing magnesium, you've got to dose an absolute F ton to get it to move.
Oh my god!
Correct. Yes, I know this.
Yes.
Downstairs.
The reason for that.
I know. Yeah.
The reason for that, magnesium is a really lightweight metal. The weight is so small. But normally the salt, like the Epsom salt that we use to dose magnesium, most of the weight is on the sulfate part. The magnesium is lightweight. So for example, one time I was the guy asked me, a customer asked me, oh, how many grams of Epsom salt I need to raise like 50 ppm of my 300-gallon tank? I said, how many grams? Are you talking about how many pounds or how many kilograms? I said, what are you talking about? Then you grab a calculator, calculate it. It said, okay, it takes about 3.5 pounds. I said, what the F?
Yeah.
And I said, well, next time, don't let your magnesium slide that low. Yes.
That's something I've learned,
3.5
to be
pounds.
fair. That's something I've learned. Yeah.
Oh, on the other hand, there's a guy telling me that his magnesium overnight jumped 200 ppm by his trident. Okay. Oh, my magnesium is 200 ppm higher. I said, calm down. First,
I wish you'd record these conversations, because they would make
magnesium chloride. I said, no, I didn't do anything. I said, well, then your trident is wrong.
Yeah, it won't bounce that much.
Yep. Yep.
No.
To change magnesium, you need to dump tons of stuff in your tank to change a tiny bit of magnesium.
Not to get too technical, not to get too much technical, Friday night. Magnesium then. Your Dong's range.
Oh, 1250 to 1400.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
if you go to 1500, I don't give a crap out of that. It's still okay.
Okay, so we're going to kind of touch on this. I'm conscious we're an hour and 40 minutes into it, so there's probably a part 2 of this to an extent. So, too much, too little. I mean, let me be fair on this. Let's go all the way back to alkalinity. Yeah, alkalinity. So, too much, too little alkalinity. What's the issue?
Actually, I'm going to touch upon that later on.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Yeah,
move on.
Yeah, we have a slide for that. Now, next slide. Where's my banana? I cannot find my banana. So
just when you want it as well.
Yeah, but somebody ate it. Well, potassium. not only is important for you, but actually quite important for your reef tank. So potassium level is around 400 ppm, 380 to 400 ppm in natural seawater. And the importance of the potassium, actually, first of all, in terms of coral growth, actually is important because it's a fertilizer for your algae. Second thing is that this hobby is all about color. One of the holy grail color is blue.
Blue.
Your Oregon Turk, blue. Well, your LED is blue as well, but that's an entirely different story. So that is a shitty blue. So you want your Oregon Turk blue. So how to make it blue? Yes, potassium.
Dog, how many pairs of orange glasses do you have at home?
None.
Okay.
So if you want your Oregon Turk as blue as possible, check your potassium regularly. The lot is blue.
Steph, Jamie, I hope you're going to repeat this example of blue moving forward.
Well, yeah. Never even done it, done it? Potassium test at all.
I'm going to get on potassium next. I'll just start chucking bananas in the sun.
After potassium, we get to nitrogen and phosphate. That is the freaking thing that has been discussed to death on the internet. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is that this is a scientific publication in 2011. It tells you the uptake that the when coral takes in phosphate, ammonia, and nitrate is proportional to its concentration in the surrounding water. You have more phosphate, more nitrate, and more ammonia in the surrounding water, the coral take up more. You have none, the coral take none. So basically, it's a concentration dependent thing. So that means that how much how much phosphate and nitrate or ammonia in your water, it dictated how much is available to the coral. So let's get this baseline to establish. Okay, go to the next slide.
So is that just a fair? So is that just fair to say that it's better to just have it there than not have it at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when you have it or not having it, that's a big difference.
But I'm just trying to give it in layman's terms. I'm just trying to give it in layman's terms. So it's better to have it than not have it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because the potassium, why keep going back to banana? I don't know. So let's go back. Maybe I'm hungry. So next slide. There is a term in scientific paper saying that phosphate limitation.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at the YouTube video that made by the late president of the North America of Tropic Marin, Lou Ickes, right?
Yeah.
If you look at his video, he will tell you about how important the phosphate it is. That is true. So here's the thing, to put it down into a very common, understandable language, is that both phosphate and nitrate are important to coral growth. Coral does take in both phosphate and nitrate, absorbing up actively. But there is there's an interesting part about the scientific research is that if there is no nitrate, you got zero nitrate in your water, the coral can still take in phosphate. On the other hand, when you have no phosphate, zero phosphate in the water, the mechanism with preventing the coral to take in nitrate or ammonia.
Okay. Are we really slow in this hobby? Because I see this paper was published in 2011, which is like over 10 years ago. But about 10 years ago, when we was all thinking we want no nitrate, we want no phosphate, we was striving for zero. But this has already been published.
Yes, that shows you there's a gigantic gap between the scientific research
Right.
and the hobby.
And us implementing it, yeah.
That
Are we going to
gap
talk
is
about
huge.
numbers on this, Don? Don't, because this is a subject close to my heart.
Yes, we're going to talk more about that, about the numbers thing. Okay, now, first we understand what is a phosphate limitation means. So let's go to the next slide. No phosphate, no nitrate, no ammonia for you. That is soup Nazi. Yep. No nitrate, okay. No phosphate, not okay. Now we're talking about people are talking about ammonia dosing. That's a fact. And
I've thought about doing this.
Oh yeah. Actually, it sort of makes sense and not make sense.
So I was watching Matt Paletta saying that if your nitrate's a 5 or below, then it's something that you could probably do because the corals are more, you know, they're gonna uptake the ammonia as opposed to the nitrate.
Actually, let's look at it a different way. First, that we look at what kind of nitrogen in what form coral takes in. Look at the pie chart. Well, I drew it last night out of my imagination and put it out of my behind. Okay, no, just kidding. That's from a published 2008 publication. 2008. So coral basically take in approximately 34% of nitrate. The nitrogen in nitrate form, 42%. Well, this number is approximate. And also is species dependent, but it's just a general trend. 42% of ammonia in ammonium form. So that means that, yeah, you slightly prefer the ammonia, but it's really not that a significant deal. Nitrate versus ammonia. And 3% of urea. 3%. If you think about urea dosing, you're out of your mind. What for? 3%. The rest of them are in amino acid form. So that is how the coral take in all the nitrogen. Majority in ammonia form, and then in nitrate and amino acid and urea. But this study is done in the ocean. But in our captive environment, what kind of bacteria is really filled with this tank water is the denitrification bacteria. Whoop, where Tom goes.
That's not important.
Okay.
You've lost him.
Yep, I did. So in our captive environment, one thing that is significantly different from the natural reef is that we have a lot more denitrification bacteria in this water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is the major difference between the captive environment versus the natural reef. Guess when you dose ammonia into this water, what the ammonia encounter first? A gazillion of denitrification bacteria.
Yes.
Before you can even reach your coral, they all get consumed by the denitrification bacteria. An army of that chew up this ammonia immediately upon their release.
But then that going through the nitrogen cycle is then converted eventually to nitrate, which can be uptaken.
Well, actually, in the ocean, the coral has more chance to see ammonia than the coral in captive, because that most ammonia get outcompeted by the denitrification bacteria.
Mm.
So yeah, so that is why when you dose ammonia, you see your nitrate goes up.
Yeah, straight away through the cycle,
Yep.
isn't it? But what about
Yep.
what about the growing trend of people dosing amino acids, like the AB pluses and all the other?
Yes, the coral does take in amino acid, but on the other hand, when you feed your fish, especially if you feed your fish with frozen food, you have more than enough amino acid dropping into the coral.
Yeah, I see that.
So the bottom line is that ammonium bicarbonate dosing actually benefit is more effective than just keep your nitrate. In the ocean maybe, but in our captive environment, hard to say. So the question is that when we dose ammonia into our tank, how big the chance this ammonia can reach our coral?
Mm.
Yeah.
So
that is the sorry. So that is the
No,
different thing, is that the differences between the natural reef and our captive reefs. There's
yes, it's
differences.
huge difference. So what happened in the ocean? Okay, there is the way that coral feed on nitrogen and phosphate is quite different than our captive environment. For example, in the ocean, the key parameter of the ocean is that you have close to 0 nitrate and 0 phosphate, right? Your coral sitting there, 0 phosphate, 0 nitrate, and then the school of fish come in, pee and poop on it. And now you got ammonia, nitrate, phosphate, particular phosphate, ran down on your coral. The coral start eating.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that when tropic marine
Dong, you might have to slow down. Tom's deep in thought with this one.
Look at that! What a freeze frame! Should we all do it until he comes back?
The particulate phosphate is basically is the when fish shitting on a coral, that's where the ammonia, particulate phosphate, dissolved phosphate, urea running down on the coral in a pulse fashion. That means the coral is not sitting on toilet all the time. Is that the fish come by, shit on them, they eat, the fish go away, 100% water change, happen immediately.
Like
the coral sitting in a 0 phosphate, 0 nitrate environment again.
Mm.
So with that said, how should we feed our coral nitrogen and phosphorus? How do we look at the test kit? So if our test kit tells us there are 0 nitrate and 0 phosphate, perfectly fine, provided you do feed your fish.
Yeah. It depends. The lower detection limits on our tests is pretty shocking, though, right?
Dong, the question I want to ask is, in your charts, what's your ranges then? So obviously phosphate is crucially important. You've just explained that. What ranges do you go up to before you become concerned?
Yep. The phosphate right now is if around 0.05 to 0.1 to up to 0.2, 0.4 is perfectly fine.
Seriously?
Yeah, even you hit 1 ppm phosphate is really not a big deal. It's ppm. The phosphate is 1 ppm phosphate is very small amount of number. I think people are over sensitive to this tiny little number of phosphate.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that gives me a good chance to give you the visualization, right? So how this was explained to me, you can't ppm, right? We do our tests and we get like it's a 1 ppm and think, right, that's a number, it means something. How you visualize that, how small a number that actually is. If you imagine an Olympic-sized swimming pool and it's got 1 million ping pong balls in there, and you throw in one red one, that's 1 ppm. That is how little a number we're talking.
Mm-hmm. So actually, I do have an analogy for this hobby. Assuming that you have a 400-liter reef tank, is approximately 100 gallon. You have pristine 0 phosphate in there. You grab 1 cube of brine shrimp, toss in there. Your phosphate will reach more than 1 ppm. Yep, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Temporarily, exactly.
Yeah.
Because when you drop that cubes of brine shrimp in there, it's just mimicking the ocean have this momentary the fish raining down on the coral with all the
Chromies.
waste.
All over. Yeah.
And then that 1 ppm of phosphate will immediately get consumed by various organisms. Yep. So what I'm trying to say is that it's perfectly fine to have very low phosphate and nitrate in your tank, as long as you're feeding your fish.
Yeah, you've got a constant supply going in, right? That's what you want.
Yep.
So you have
basically,
that available at some point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Because everything going in must come out by must be consumed by some sort of fashion, right?
Yeah.
So if you say I have no fish, I never feed the fish, that's a entirely different story.
Mm.
So that's why the way I try to keep this reef tank is I try to jam as much fish as possible in there.
Well, do you know what?
So,
It doesn't take much to change the balance. So what I've done, all the fish swimming behind me in here all came out of my tank over there. And that since I've pulled all the fish out, I've got a load of diatoms and stuff breaking out of the tank, loads of them. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Why am I've taken all the waste producers out of that tank and I'm getting loads of problems. I've left my auto feeder, it's still going in 6 times a day. And there's none of the fish are in there now to eat it. There's only a few left. And I'm thinking that little bit of uneaten food, whatever it is, has just been enough to spike it all out of balance. And it's all getting diatoms and cyano taking advantage of it. It's just all it's taken is me to turn off that auto feeder or put it back on this tank. And it's all back again. It's like that. The balance swings so easy.
Yeah.
So that tells you that how potent all these fish foods are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much to raise your phosphate to 1 ppm.
No. So what are your numbers done in that tank behind you?
This tank, okay, so guess what number? Nitrate is I battle nitrate to keep it at a 5 ppm nitrate. I have to dose to keep it at 5 ppm nitrate. If I don't dose, it drops to 0 overnight.
Wow.
Yeah. And for matter of fact, I did an experiment for 6 months. 0 ppm nitrate, but I have about 0.2 ppm phosphate. But I make sure I feed the fish. The coral grows perfectly fine.
Right.
Yeah, because what I was doing is to like this posing environment, but I fish my fish as many times as possible every day.
So do you find that if you because I've done it before where I had quite high nitrates and I deliberately increased the phosphate to bring the nitrates to bring the nitrates down, or you can do it. Apparently, you can do it vice versa. Do you believe in the 1 to 100 ratio?
Steph.
No,
I'm not doing that. I'm just sure that people on the stream have seen and heard this.
Yep.
So.
There is a refill ratio, whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
So refill ratio is only for the phytoplankton. For coral, also depends on what types of coral you're talking about. The ratio they take in varies dramatically. So there is no fixed ratio, no perfect ratio. Oh, by the way, the ratio is meant for the coral or whatever to take in the ratio. Does not mean that you have to maintain that ratio in the water.
Mm-hmm. Was that ratio as well designed in agriculture? Because I know a lot of the farmers will stick to that KPN ratio, 110:1, for dosing on fields to grow crops. But that's exactly the same number we're talking about. Has that research been done on terrestrial stuff rather than marine stuff? Or is it just
actually, the refill ratio is done on because that the marine stuff and the stuff on the land is closely related.
Right. Okay. So
your corn crop versus the phytoplankton. Actually, they're all plants. But coral are animal with plants embedded inside.
Yep.
That's the difference. So there is no particular ratio that is so magical to make your coral grow the best as also keep the algae down. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Also, you do not have to keep the ratio in the water. to detect what the coral takes in. For example, assuming you every time you eat a peanut butter sandwich, you get 1 slice of bread, maybe 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and then half tablespoon of your strawberry jam to make your peanut butter sandwich, and you eat it, you like it that way. Yeah. Hypothetically. You do not have to keep your refrigerator only have 1 slice of bread and 1 tablespoon of peanut butter and whatever tablespoon of strawberry jam. You can have 10 loaves of bread, 1 jar of peanut butter, and 10 jars of strawberry jam.
I had 10 loaves of bread and I had to get involved. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So you still take out 1 slice of bread, grab 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, and slap on whatever preferred amount of jam to make this peanut butter sandwich. Despite you have 10 loaves of bread in your refrigerator and 200 loaves in your pantry.
That's it. And what's your favorite sandwich, Tom? We're just going through the.
Yeah.
Bacon.
Well, okay.
Choice.
So assuming you have 1 slice of bread with 10 pounds of bacon on top, and
Have we finished testing? Have I missed out on testing? Have we finished?
Oh, you missed it. Dong. It led to Dong saying he's releasing his own automated testing system. That's why he's done this whole thing with the slides. And so I present to you all tonight my own, the Big Dong method. You missed it, Tom.
Sorry, do apologise.
So now we're on sandwiches.
Sandwiches. Okay, fair enough.
But I get what you're saying, Dong. Sorry, go on, Tom.
No, you're fine. I was going to say a few tips for people watching at home then in terms of testing the water. Like I touched on it earlier about how often, same time of the day. Any other things you can talk about? Any things you think people should be aware of, should stay clear of? Do you think you can overtest?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you put the slides back?
Okay. Of course I can. Yeah, 1 second. Where are we? Slides. There you go.
Just keep on scrolling. Keep going.
I'm going.
Yep. Keep on going. Keep on swimming. Okay. Yeah. Keep on going. Okay. We all talk about that.
My best
silicate.
friend, silicate.
Yeah, silicate. Okay. So silicate is an interesting thing. Is actually the natural seawater has a very high amount of silicate in it. 10 ppm is much higher than what your ICP can tell you. But then people said, "Wow, why the reef is still so pristine?"
The ICP is red.
Yeah, the ICP will go off the chart if you really hit 10 ppm silicate. First of all, the natural reef is not as pristine we thought it is. Yes, piles of shit here, piles of shit there, and the dino here, dino there. So
you've seen my tank then.
And most important thing is that there's a crap tons of sponge in a natural reef. It's feeding on the silicate.
Yep.
So, and also that silicate is an essential nutrient for diatom, sponge, snails, and chitons. It's absolutely needed. Actually, there is something people are dosing silicate into the water here. And they're targeting 1 ppm of silicate. And for matter of fact, the silicate is so easy to test, you do not need an ICP. All you need just like a Salifert silicate test kit. You go down to 0.03 ppm. So there's a sufficient amount of range allow you to successfully estimate it. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. So silicate is not your enemy. Silicate is your friend. So, and I test it only once a while, if I remember, if I feel like it. Because what happened if your reef deplete of silicate? Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Your sponge is still trucking. And also, if you feed your fish, same thing. Silicate is in your fish food. Okay, now we go down to the next slide. This is the automasting. Oh, sorry, what I'm talking about. Automatic and controllers. Okay, there's so many flavor of that. Public service announcement. Do not use this for reef if you want to control your dose, because for reef have a delay effect for the alkalinity to rise up. So, I remember there is a reef beef episode. Ben Johnson was talking about that, how messed up that his customer tried to use one of the aquatronic device to control reef is a mess. But all of this controller is a good to have and save you some time, provided you maintain them. Maintenance is the key. Also, don't trust them all the time. Because that I have seen so many cases, people actually get used to it as well. Time passed really fast. 1 year fly by. And then this number will drift, will be different, will become inaccurate. It's not if, it's when this kind of thing can happen. So when you use an automatic tester, always have something like a Resi or a Salifert test kit on hand and test them maybe once a month to make sure that your automatic tester, you compare them to catch anything happen before the automatic tester go haywire. So let's go to the next slide. Trace element. Oh my God. Trace element. Oh, no.
Killed him off.
No.
Killed him off.
No. So trace element has getting so much of attention. Let me put it this way. If your major element is not in check, forget about the trace element. Trace element is icing on the cake. If you cannot even bake your cake.
Can you just explain that, Don? Can you just explain that for a second?
Major element affect your coral tremendously more than any trace element can do.
Mm-hmm.
So before you look into your trace element, before you spend your money to doing all this ICP test or whatever thing, make sure your major element is in good shape. I have found so many people cannot even get their major element in check and start to using this method and that method for the trace element. So trace element is never a priority
the reason
over the major element.
The reason I'm asking you that is because the major element you can test with titration in most cases.
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to send an ICP off for your trace elements or minor trace elements, which is going to be expensive in most cases.
Yes. And inaccurate.
You are going to be wasting your money if you're... Do you agree?
Yeah. If your major element is not maintained properly, testing trace element is total waste of money. Yeah. So after you take care of your major element and you want to run the last mile, you want the icing on the cake, you want the extra 5%, the last 5% of the color and growth. Squeeze out your coral, then you look at the trace element.
Oh, is that how you put it? As a percentage?
You mean trace element versus a major element? Major element at least 90 to 95% affecting the coral. There's a life and death situation. Your trace element is your last 5 to 10%, and they're not life and death.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Actually,
you're saying the trace element. You're saying the trace element is literally the icing on the cake.
Yes, it is.
Not the sponge, the filling, and whatever else, or whatever analogy you want to come up with tonight as an example. But
so
you're saying that is literally
the
the sprinklers.
Yeah, you're just sprinkling on the icing on the cake. So, for matter of fact, that actually most of tank, or let's say many of the reef aquarium, if you have proper amount of fish in there, you're feeding your fish regularly, you probably does not lack of trace element, because the fish food is jam packed with all the trace element in it. It's jam packed. You just don't know how much you have in there. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
And your synthetic sea salt contain the necessary trace element in there already. So, if you don't do your water change for a year,
so we just need to use ICP just to check on the rate of uptake then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
I think there's a lot of marketing and social media influence when it comes to certain trace elements being elevated to see what happens with coloration. But I think you're right. I think the main message here is, from what you're saying, is that you need to get these right before you put sprinkle any,
Yeah, exactly.
Do you understand what I mean? If you don't get that right, then this is a waste of time. You've got to,
absolutely.
If that's right, then you can have a little bit extra fun. You need to get this right first.
Yes, basically. So that's why you need to keep the coral alive, and then you chase after to get the best color out of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. So there's another important thing is that trace element, most of them are transitional metals. They can be highly toxic if you add too much into it. That is something to think about. Yep. So before you drop your trace element into the water, ask yourself several questions. First, is my major element okay? I'll take care of that. Yep. Second thing is that am I feeding my fish regularly? Third thing is that how trustworthy are the ICP I'm sending out? And actually, for matter of fact, you can basically label 2 vials with different label, but put same water into it and check out your ICP company.
Sure.
And people do that. People did that several times. And the result is always 100% failure. So think about it. Yeah, think about it before you spend the money on it. So let's go to the next slide. So where does trace element goes? Actually, for example, if I throw something into my fish tank, assuming this is a trace element, what exactly happened to this trace element when it hit the water? Thing number one, many of the trace elements are transitional metals. And what's in our water is very abundant, is tons of them, is carbonate and bicarbonate. First thing, chemical reaction. Those transitional metal will form a carbonate or bicarbonate salt, precipitate out. Think about this way. Many of them simply precipitate out of the water column upon entering the aquarium. That's a major thing it goes. Whatever survive, then you can go into if they ever get a chance to uptake by coral. Most of them actually go to the algae instead of the coral host. So that's why you can see from this slide, the green part, the green bars are where the trace element in the algae. The blue bars are the trace element actually incorporated into the coral. Majority of them is going to the symbiosis algae, as well as other bacteria. Only a very tiny amount actually get into the coral. To show you the last 95% last mile. It's a beautiful color. Or doing whatever biological function there. That means that most of the trace element you added first get precipitated out, get chewed up by the bacteria, get robbed by the symbiosis algae. Tiny amount go to the coral itself.
So where does it stand when people get an ICP back then? So when they get the ICP result back and they're looking at it,
Yep.
How should they react on that?
So actually, if you just do one ICP, it doesn't tell you jack.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that when you do two ICP once a month apart, and you can see, oh, there's a difference, right? So there's some trace element concentration decrease dramatically. That without this comparison, one single ICP doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
With two ICP, you see the consumption. Three ICP,
I just think that there's a common denominator in the hobby, and I've been sort of guilty of this, whereby you are influenced by numbers and ranges quite quickly. You will change your methodology, your husbandry, your dosage, your testing that we took, all based on what somebody's telling you. And then when it doesn't work, you'll then go to something else, and then go to something else, and go to something else. So, all right. So when somebody gets an ICP result back on, we talked about trace elements. What should they do when they get that back on an email, on a PDF, and they look at it? What should they do? Sat at home, listening to us talking about this. How should they deal with an ICP result when it comes back to them?
Okay.
Well, they usually get recommendations, don't you, from the company?
There are several things. If I see the report saying that I have 1,000 times of higher level than the set point of copper, the first thing I will do, I will start freak out. And then running around the house. Oh my God, something bad happened. Then I look into my tank. So if my tank looks perfectly normal, I get this report, rip it up, toss in the trash can, and move on. Or, okay.
So no water change, no polyfilter pads, just...
No.
I just think that's interesting, Steph, what he's saying, because it's like you get those numbers, don't you? And and Dong, I shared one of mine with you recently on the DT downstairs, and it was pretty much, was it 90% apart from a few things that you were like, well, does it look all right? And silicates was the conversation we were having, wasn't it?
The coral can tell you more than what this ICP report tells you. Always remember that. So no matter what the ICP report says, if your coral looks fine, your fish looks fine, just rip it up and toss it and just saying, oh, good. You're just, it's fine. But
so it was 45 quid to wipe your ass with, is what you're saying.
Exactly. But if you say, okay, element XYZ significantly depleted, then I look at the data. Then can we go to the next slide?
Lack of detection in the UK. That's what we get. Lack of detection.
Well, let's go to the next slide. And the next slide, we don't need to talk about that. There, okay. Now, look at this number. Look at this number. Look at what, especially the bottom of this number on the right-hand side. You don't have to read the detail, but I can tell you that most of them are below the detection limit of the ICP OES. Can tell you.
Oh yeah.
The video that go on. Yeah, Kristen did at NIOS about the salt that they've just put with the selenium concentration in a ton of salt was just like unreal. Steph?
The thing is that the bottom line is that your coral is more sensitive than the ICP machine.
Yeah. It's the best judge, isn't it?
Yeah. Let me give you one real life example. One customer, he did his ICP and then come back his molybdenum, whatever.
Molybdenum.
Yeah, it's low. So he pulled out a calculator. He calculated how much he should dose, and he dosed accordingly. Next time he's saying an ICP, is 2,000 times higher than what it is, what the set point is. And his coral start to bleaching out. After he dosed this according to the ICP result and the calculator. That is not something you should do. You got the number back. Look at your tank first. Everything looks fine. Just think about it.
All right.
You didn't detect anything outrageous. That's good.
There were a couple of comments earlier on the stream regarding trace elements and coloration or correlation to coloration. So what's your stance on that? Because for me, I was always sort of pushed in the whole, iron, green, we talked about it earlier, potassium, fluoride, maybe blues, reds. Do you think that has a connotation? Do you think there's an influence there in certain elements, traces? Or is it just marketing?
Yes,
like Jamie
it does.
says?
Trace element does influence coral color.
Okay.
Actually, pretty obvious. So that's why, let's go to the next slide.
Oh, I do apologize. I'm running away. Sorry. There you go.
Well, for this is actually, let's go back to this briefly because I meant the next slide. So sorry, Tom. So okay, are my trace in good shape? The most important thing is the coral.
Yeah.
So when actually the trace element does influence the coral color dramatically. That has a lot to do with some of the protein, the fluorescent color protein. They have to be display certain kind of 3D structure by complex to certain metal.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's why that weak fluorescent pigment can normally indicating is a low trace element concentration. But excess of this trace element can lead to bleaching and have lots of mucus flying off the coral. So the thing is that the bottom line is that your coral is a lot more sensitive than your ICP machine. That is true. And for matter of fact, this thing are coming out of a public aquarium handbook.
Okay, a lot of things to look out for. It's all good information.
And also there is an interesting thing I learned and I also do to test the toxicity of, no, please go back, Tom.
Sorry.
The previous slide. Yep, exactly this slide. Sea urchin is a great indicator in your reef tank. If you overdose your trace element, because many of them are heavy metals, your sea urchin kick the bucket first before your coral does. So that's why I have sea urchin on every single tank.
Oh, so if you kill the sea urchins, then stop dosing.
First. Oh yeah, and change water.
Okay.
And now we talk about what happened if you wake up in the morning, is all the sea urchin dead. You run GFO.
Okay. Fair enough.
GFO is not really meant for lower your phosphate. GFO is a great chemical to scavenge the heavy metal out of your water. Yeah.
Okay.
GFO has its new use to scavenge out all the heavy metal. For example, your Overdose copper, no problem. GFO to the rescue. Overdose your zinc, no problem. GFO to the rescue.
But not overdose copper and not overdose zinc and run GFO, then
and then you
GFO,
started stripping your phosphate.
Phosphate, yeah.
Yep. The GFO has a high affinity to all the heavy metals.
I've just had a text message from my wife. My Red Dragon pump has just failed again downstairs.
Live.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, Tom, you should get J-Bar.
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. It's all right. It'll carry on.
Oh yeah, move on.
Pump.
Next slide.
Okay,
Carry
okay.
on.
Yeah. Forget my tank. Down.
Okay.
Your
Yep,
slide.
it's okay.
Yep.
Dosing trace element. What I can say is that Red Sea, Tropic Marine, all this Trident, all these trace element, it works just fine. Has been testing over and over again. This combo trace element works. You do not need to spend $500. Yes, recently there's a guy here come to me. He told me he spent $500 to buy gazillion amount of small bottle to achieve the same effect as a $16 bottle of trace element.
Yeah, all those ones that you've got in your hands, we've got equivalents of each individual element. They're all about 15, 17 quid a bottle. And if the marketing got you, you need to go and buy all 20 of them or whatever it is. And it is massive.
So let's move on to the next slide, please. That's what I do.
Oh, isolate MT.
Yeah. It has all these trace elements good enough. The rest of them is icing on the cake of the icing on the cake. Well, the icing of the icing on the cake of the cake.
Yeah.
This one has all the major one done. More than enough. But I only dose twice a week instead of every day.
Okay.
I've heard it's very strong.
Yeah, very strong. For this hobby, less is always more.
Yeah.
Because that so if you dose less, your coral may not be shining at that scale, but it won't die. A dead coral is really pretty. It's bone white.
Yeah.
So I only do it twice a week instead of every day, and good enough. Or follow your ATI, whatever trace element, the combo trace element, you work just fine.
He had to ask Dong, I'm sorry, it's your biggest fan, you know him, Gazar's Reef. Top 15 traces in order in one bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Go out and buy it. that could have solved Gaz's question 2-3 months ago. Just get that, Gaz.
Just get that, Gaz. Yeah.
Well, for matter of fact, this is known for more than a decade. The publication about this trace element is all 10 years old and more. Yep. It's just a matter of the idea being filtered down or being the lack of information being taken advantage of for marketing purpose. It's simple as that. Trace element just have something better than nothing, and that's it. So we summarize it. Salinity 34 to 36 ppt, temperature 74 to 78 Fahrenheit, is like 23 to 26 degrees. Alkalinity 711, just like the convenience store. pH 7.8 to 8.4, or whatever that it leads to you. Calcium 350 to 450 or 500. Don't panic, nothing wrong with that. Magnesium 1250 to 1400, perfectly fine. What happens if you reach 1600? No big deal. Sit back, relax. Potassium 380 to 420. Nitrate 1 to 20 ppm. What happens if I have 200 ppm? No big deal. Let it go. Phosphate 0.1 to 0.5, no problem, no big deal. Silicate, preferably below 0.03 ppm. Who cares? Trace element, good luck. Whatever you buy, and that concludes the presentation today. Take some questions. Thank you. Thank you.
And we all know what to aim for now.
It's getting so dry here.
Who cares?
Oh my God.
Yeah, go on, Don. Wet your whistle, as they say up here. So please, obviously, those of you who are still watching, thanks to the 70 that are still tuned in. Got a question for Don around what we've been talking about this evening. Please throw them into the comments section. So you've kind of made a bit of an impact there for me. That trace elements are so small in terms of your attention as a reefer. You should
I think
really
we pay too much attention to that.
That's kind of what I'm taking from what you've just sent. Personally,
yeah, way too
reefer,
much.
I'm like, wow, you know, because I'm trying to add a bit of this, add a bit of that to change coloration, especially with SPS codes, and you're like, no. I'm not saying you have it intentionally. I just feel like you've just gone, slapped me around the face and gone, no, focus on that.
There's a reason for that.
Okay.
The reason is that how marketing for a company does for the profit. So because the major element is already beat to death, there's the whole football fields of dead horses.
Of opportunity.
The more you beat it,
of business opportunity.
Yeah,
but
now you're talking about trace element, good opportunity, new stuff, money.
So let's talk about rubidium.
Oh yeah, oh my God. How about we talk about uranium? The funny thing is that the vanadium actually more important than people imagine about.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. There's more research showing that the vanadium actually quite important to coral growth.
Wow.
But only to a certain limit. And for example, that like the Eastern Ocean salt, it actually has a vanadium inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
The bottom line is that.
Sorry, Don. The trouble I find with all of these micro elements is every time I read up about each one, I come away thinking that's the most important thing ever. And then the next week I'll read about another one. I think, oh no, that's really important.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you get stuck with them, don't you?
Yeah, so that's why we have to look past the marketing.
I just think that a lot of it, though, it stems from the ICP. You get the ICP,
yes, that's true.
It says lack of detection. I'll stop. There's a pattern here.
Actually, that on one of my slides, ICP testing, one of the major obstacle to get a good trace element is your major element, like sodium.
Well,
you're covering up the signals.
The feds prime corals, evening prime corals, there are called trace elements for a reason. There is traces of
them. There's trace.
Perfect.
But when you have something that overlapping, huge presence in the water sample, is like sodium, chloride, magnesium, calcium, it tend to make the detection of the trace element become more difficult. And also directly from tropic marine themselves, when you do ICP testing, some of the elements are calculated instead of detected.
Yeah, I always thought they were more. So I thought of it like the human body, like we need macronutrients, as in carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, to function. But we also need micronutrients for eye health, skin health, whatever. And I thought that was the kind of like my way of thinking about trace elements, was they were the micronutrients of the macronutrients in the reef system, right? But what you've just said, all of this is just actually, it's a sprinkle of sprinkle of candy on top of the cake once it's already made. And I thought it was actually a fundamental building block for vitality.
when we talk about the micronutrient, I actually involved with a project about micronutrient themselves. So how micronutrient for human health is over marketed closer
So
to a
that is
scam.
as well.
Yeah,
I've got
exactly.
lion's mane, D, D3, 12 every day.
Yeah, lots of micronutrient are not
Yeah.
real.
Wow.
So for matter of fact, that that's why in US many of these so-called supplement, FDA's stand their stance are, we don't want to deal with that. There is, as long as the patient or people who eating that doesn't get sick, and that's good enough.
But Don, it's like the fish scenario you said about the fish on the reef. You know, a lot of people who switch the diet. So if you eat a good bit of meat in your diet, red meat, you get a lot of the micronutrients from the actual protein in the meat. Do you know what I mean? So I guess it's kind of, yeah, we're just putting it all together in school.
Exactly.
And for matter of fact, when we are eating the regular food, actually, our major amount of food actually containing the so-called micronutrient inside.
Yeah,
yeah. So for example, if you're eating salmon fish, there's omega-3 fatty acid in there. You do not have to take a pill. You just go eat the fish. Yeah. And that's why when we feed our fish with quality fish food, that is a form of trace element dosing as well.
Yeah. Very interesting point.
Yeah. I'm just going to say we are well and truly past the 2-hour mark, gentlemen. I'm going to wrap it up there.
Okay.
It's been entertaining. It's been informative. It's been a bit controversial at times. It's been enlightening as well.
Can I raise a suggestion, Tom, for one of the streams? Why don't we all grab some test kits on one of the streams and we'll all do our tank together and read our results out?
I think that'd be a good idea. I think Don can go first, obviously.
Yeah, we'll do it really quick. I'll still be pretending I know what I'm doing.
Then I choose the CP test.
Yeah, of course it would. He'd just get the most accurate. He'd get the most accurate apparatus possible, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but now
this is how I'm going to do it.
Oh God, here we go. Go on, Don. Come on.
ICP test. Oh, the copper must be 0.01 ppm, and chromium is 0.00004 ppm. But vanadium is 0.0000004 ppb.
Well, you know what we've got to say about that, don't you?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. But Don, thanks ever so much, as always, for putting that slide together. It's a good evening from Steph.
Good evening.
It's a good evening from Jamie.
Good evening. Thanks all.
Good evening from Don.
Thank you.
It's good evening from me. And thanks ever so much for the 50, 60, 70, at one point 90 odd of you that tuned in and then realised it was something far better to watch on TV than watching us that tuned in this Friday evening. Thanks ever so much for tuning in and supporting the network, as always. We have a very special guest with us next Friday, so please tune in. We will drip feed you a few little snippets of what it could be, a few clues during the week. But other than that, have an amazing Friday, what's left, wherever you are in the world. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you all soon. Take care for now. Goodbye. Take care.